today, and we are going to start where we left off. I hope your day is going fine. So today we are going to, this is what we are trying to achieve. If you remember, the last time we stopped at the banner stage, this is what we have been able to do. Then the only thing remaining for us to do is just these three, included with the footer over here. Now let us start with the one at the left hand side. Okay, so at this point I'm going to switch over to my code editor, and here it comes. Now let me do a quick recap on what we have been able to achieve. This is just a simple HTML document where we have the head, we have the body, and over here we have the header part of our document, and over there we have just our logo, and we'll resize it to 100 pixel. Okay, so moving on further, we move to the content area of our document, and in the content area of our document we have our unordered lists inside a division, and this division we add a comment over here that is going to represent our navigation bar. And remember, we changed the block elements to inline block elements so that all of them can be on a single line. Now that's what we have been able to do, and over here we do some absolute positioning. So at this point in time I'm going to create another div, but I will make sure that before creating this the div that I'm going to create is still inside the document. So if you look at it very well, if I click over here now, you can see that my navigation bar div ended here and my banner div ends here. So I'm going to create another div now. Okay, and this div, let me just, for the sake of clarity, I'm going to label it let's call it product, because I just want to display some fonts over here which we will regard as product for now. Okay, so now this is the division where the three products will be housed, and if you look at it, there are three in number. So this is the first one, this is the second one, so all together they are inside a bigger div. Hope you understand. So I will create a division for all of these three, and that is what we are going to do. So over here I'm going to create another div, then we can label this one as maybe the first product. Okay, so this is going to be our first product, and let me quickly show you something. I will just give it a background color so that you can get a chance to see what we are doing. Remember, we can give background color with style, so I'm giving it a background color of blue just to show you some stuff. And you already know by now that if I did not have any contents, I would not have the chance to see the blue color. So I will just type a single letter here, hit Ctrl S to save my job, and if you head straight back to my document, which is it over here, if you refresh now, you see the blue division coming down here. Can you see it? Okay, don't worry that it's joined together with this one. We can always give a margin if we want. Okay, now let us write on. You might be wondering that is it really in the product division? Okay, let's give a product division a different background color so that we can be on the same page. And I need to go out to the products. Then if you had some content here, hit Ctrl S to save your job, and if you come back here and refresh, then you see that this blue is inside this KK. I hope you understand. It's inside the pink column, I mean the purple column. So if you check it very well, you can see that we have a division inside a division. For it to be very clear to you, this division that I call my first product, which occupies the blue column, is as long as the entire screen, which means it is 50% long. I mean it is 100% long. So let's make it to be 30% long, and that will even make it to be extremely clear to you. Remember, we can make use of the width property in our style, and I'm going to give it 30%. So if you hit on Ctrl S to save your job and you head straight back here and refresh your document, then by now you observe that the blue color is not as long as before. Now it is only 30% long, which of course is the size that I need. And again, you will get to see now that this blue color is really inside the purple color. which of course is for the product. I will be changing the purple color to just plain white later, but this is just for you to really go along with me. So moving on further. Okay, so what then do we want to do? We want to put some picture here. I hope you understand. We want to put a picture over here, so inside this division, and let us put the picture right now. Instead of putting this H, that is not what we need. And right now, you know that to add picture to your document, all you need is the img tag. Okay, so the img tag, then we have the src, which is going to point to the picture that we are going to be putting inside this blue, which of course is the first product. Then let us check the product that we want to add. Over here I have a folder called product, and over here I have app 1, which represents the phone that I'm going to be adding over there. It represents the application I've built in the past. So coming back here, you will observe that the app1.png picture I want to add is inside product, and product itself is a folder inside images. You must follow that part, otherwise you won't get the picture. So I'm going to type images followed by products followed by app1.png, and I will hit Ctrl S to save my job. Then if you head straight back here and refresh your document, then you see the phone, and here comes the phone. Okay, although it's not positioned at the center now, that one is not a problem. You know the trick already, that if I want to position this picture in the middle, if I do test align center on the image, it won't work. But if you go to the image, I mean to the parent, which of course is the division above it, and you give it test align and you position it to the center, then you hit Ctrl S to save your job. You head straight back to your document and hit refresh. Then you can see now that it comes to the center. Now let's go back to what we want to create. This is what we are going for. It has some border around it, so then it doesn't have any color at all. So at this point in time, I want to remove the color and add the border. Okay, so back to, remember I'm working, let's delete this. Okay, we can just leave it there for now. This is the division that represents the first child. Let me collapse this so that we can have a better view. I'm going to increase, okay, so that you can get a chance to see it very well. Okay, now like moving on further, you will discover here that I am working on this div called the first division, and it has a background color of blue. So you can just change the background color to white, or since white is the default color, you can clean the background color entirely and it will remain white. You want to check it, hit Ctrl S to save your job and refresh. Then you see now that it's back to white. Okay, you wouldn't know that it's white just because the parent has the this kind of purple color, so you wouldn't quickly observe. So let's remove the background color for the parent too, because I only put that one there so that you can really understand that it's really inside a division. Okay, so right now this is what we have. So you did not even get a chance to see that there is a division here that is 30% long. Okay, so let's give it a border. So coming down here, there is a property you can quickly add, and it is called border. So maybe you want the border to be 5 pixel thick. Then maybe you want it to be blue color. Then the next is solid, so the border will be solid. Then maybe you cannot give it blue color or any color that you want. So the 3 values that you are giving to just the border property. You are saying the border should be 5 pixels thick, it should be solid, not a broken line, then it should come out in blue color, and hit Ctrl S to save your job. So if you head straight back to your document and you refresh, then you see here comes our border, and you can see its position here. So we are getting there. Now the next is this one here. Actually, I make use of a table to represent this, which of course I'm going to be showing you now, and this will give you a chance to understand how table looks like, or how to create a table in HTML. Okay, remember that I am still working inside this first product because I'm still creating the first product. So there is a tag called table, and we're going to be working with table right now. Then table has a sub tag, like a tag inside it, that we call TR, and TR stands for what? Table role. That is, we are creating a single role for now, and inside that row I want to have one column. Then if I want to add 2 columns, obviously I will do this. Okay, let's make it 2 columns, although 1 column is what we need. But just for it to be to be very clear to you, let's make it 2 columns, and I'm going to give the first column what was written on the first column. Okay, just for example, let's write first, because I really want to explain what is a table for you. Then I'm putting second here. So that means I have here I have a table of a single row with 2 columns in it, and guess what happens if you double up the row? Then that means you have a table of 2 rows, 2 columns, and if you hit Ctrl S to save your job and you head straight back here and you refresh, then you see the table over here. Although as at now you wouldn't believe that it's a table just because it does not have any border. Okay, let's give it a border. So you can come over to your table here and give it a style. Okay, then the style we're giving it is border, and you already know how to work with border. Let's say we want it to be 2 pixels long. Okay, and you want it to be solid, and you want to give it a brown color. Then you hit Ctrl S to save your job, and let us check the table now. Okay, the table just comes out in that kind of it now has a border, and you will observe that the table is indeed small. And let me quickly share this with you. This table is a child to this entire division. This blue border color represents the parent of this table, and there is another parent out here that initially was purple color, if you remember. So that one you can call it a grandparent to this table. So right now, if you observe very well, the grandparent is 100% long, but this parent, which has the border of blue, is only 30% long. So if I change this table, that this table I want it to be 100% long, that means it will be only 100% of 30%. I don't know if you get my point at this hour. I'm saying that this table should be 100% long, but unfortunately the table cannot be bigger than the parent, and the parent in this case is only 30%. So if you say this table should be 100%, that means it will only be 100% of 30%, which of course is 30%. And let me show you over here. Okay, here I have a division that has a width of 30%, and here is a table inside it. So if I come down here and I say that I want the width of this table to be as long as 100%, what you are saying in essence is it will occupy the entire space of the parent, whereas the parent itself is just 30% long, and there is no way this child will be bigger than the parent, and in that case the table will now be 30% long. So check it out now. If you refresh your document, you see the table is now wide. It's 100% long, but unfortunately the 100% of 30% is 30. So that's the reason why we now have the table coming out this way. Okay, now let me quickly share this with you. You will understand that this is the first row and this is the second row. This over here, the first and first is the first column, and the second and second is the second column. What happens if you want to give it the border just like this one? You can see they all can as well have a border, and it's not so difficult. I will just copy the border here just to save me the stress of typing again. So I'm going to copy this property called border, then come to the row. So that means I want the row 2 to have border, so I'm going to hit Ctrl V to paste. Then I will do the same thing for the column, and oops, sorry, I need to put style. Do not forget, and put your border in the first column, put style, and put your border in the second column, and hit Ctrl S to save your job. So if you come straight back here and you refresh now, then you see now that my row and column does have a border, but the second row and column does not. Okay, I think you are getting the idea of how to work with a table. So what you really need to understand when working with a table is a table can have a column, and a column can have a table can have a row, and a row can have a column. So a single row can have many columns, a single table can have many rows, and that is how it works. So let's try to create what we are really in for, and I'm going to delete just one column here because I really need a single column to get what we are trying to do. Okay, then this one too, I'm going to give it a style and give it some border. Then come to this role as well. I'm going to give it some style, and I'm going to give it some border. Okay, so that means I have two rows, one column. And if you check it out, it's Control S to save your job, and if you refresh over here, then you now see that we have two rows and one column. Then if you take a look at what we are trying to create, you see we are getting there. Okay, all right, at this point in time we need 3 rows and just 1 column. Then I'm going to type phone sales app, something like that, list their feature and put their price here. Okay, that's what we are really going for. So that means I'm going to be changing this first to phone sales, but don't worry, we will be creating something far better than this. The idea, the bottom line behind this tutorial is to really teach you how to work with HTML. So it's not to create a fancy website for now. We will do something far better than this in an upcoming lecture. Okay, so moving on further now, phone sales app. Then I now have a column here, a row where I want to be putting the feature. So let's say this feature 1. So I need like 2 more of this row. So you can hit Ctrl C to copy, then Ctrl V. Now I have another row which is going to represent feature 2 about the product. Then I have another row which is going to represent the price of the product. So you can be putting the price there, but this is just a simple template. Now let's hit Ctrl S to save our job and see what we have. So if you refresh your document now, you see now that we indeed have this, only that we need to position all of this item to the center, and that is not difficult for you to do. Okay, if you check it very well, we already have text align center over here, which is the parent on our first row. So okay, and if you look at it very well, the text align center is indeed affecting the IMG, the picture, helping us to place the picture at the center. But if you look at this one, it's not in any way affecting the table. So what I think there are 2 ways around this. You can take all of this table and put the table in its own separate div, and automatically I think this should affect it. Okay, to place it at the center, or to save you that stress, you can just come straight to the table and apply a text align center and hit Ctrl S to save your job. Head straight to your document and refresh, and it does comes to the center. So, and that is it. So if you check it out now, you see that we already have this part completed. Okay, don't worry about the merging, we will do all of those in a very short while. So I will not be creating these 2, because if you look at it, you will discover that they are exactly the same design with the first one, only that the pictures are changing, and that one is not a big problem. We can just copy this and paste it 2 times and change the picture over there, because it is of course the same design. So this is the beginning of the first product, and this is the end of the first product. Let's delete this KK. So I'm going to copy, hit Ctrl C, then so this becomes my second product, and I'm going to change it here to second. Then I need to paste again. This is the end of the second product, so I need to paste again, and this become my third product. Haven't copied and pasted it. Hit Ctrl S to save your job, and let us look at what we got. So I just refresh it. Just as expected, you can see the 3 divs are coming next to one another. This the exact behavior of HTML tags. Every HTML tag comes one after just vertically, one after the other. It goes vertically, one after the other. But if you want to simulate or get something like this, so to place them side by side horizontally, then there are a couple of ways to do that. Among the ways are to float the items to the left of one another. Although there are better ways, there are more efficient ways to do it, which of course we will be covering in our upcoming lecture. But for now, let's stick with the float left. But before then, I'm going to be changing the pictures here. So this is my third. So I already prepared these pictures for you, and if you look at it, I have phone app 1 2 3. So all I need to do is just to replace the 1 2 and 3. So I'm going to make this one to be 3 because that's my third product. So I'm going to make this to be what? To be 2. And if you hit Ctrl S to save your job, head straight back here and refresh your document, then you see the pictures have changed. So the only thing remaining for us is just to place the product or the entire div, first, second and third product next to one another horizontally, and that is not going to be difficult for us to do. Let me quickly share this with you. Starting from the first product, we need to float the div to the left of one another, and let me quickly share this with you. So here is another property in CSS that you are learning. Float left means float then is the property, left is the value you are passing into the property. It means that any item coming next after this division should come to the left. And look at it, that's what you are trying to say. This is the division that I put float left on it, so that means the next coming after it should come to the left. And if you hit on Ctrl S to save your job and you refresh your document, then you will discover that it does not come. That's because even though the first division here is instructing, is trying to tell the next coming after it to come to the left, it will still not answer until you come to the second product division and you also put float left over here. That is the only time it will answer. So, and if you put it here, you did not put it at the one coming above, it will still not work. So meaning that you need to really put it on all of them. So, and that is how it works. So what does that mean? It means you are trying to tell them that please come to the left of that first one, come to the left of the next one. And let me share this with you. Even though we managed to put them in the left, you would still see that all of them comes to the left. And believe me, if only the length of our division is not 30%, it wouldn't work, because remember that the entire space is 100%. So if this is 30% plus another 30% plus another 30%, making 30 plus 30 plus 30, making 90. So 100 minus 90, 10. So the remaining 10% is this one here. So we are able to position all of them next to one another horizontally just because their width can be accommodated within 100%. So you must take note of that, and you will discover that this one is really falling out of line. That's because the image have different size with this one. So at the next the idea here is you want to stick with the same picture that have. So if you look at this one, you will discover that they have similar pictures all through, and this are the same. Okay, I just observed that. So let's quickly replicate something like that. That means 1 and 3 are the same. So I'm going to change 3 to 1 here and hit Ctrl S to save my job. Then if you refresh now, then you will discover that they now have equal height, just because the pictures now have the same size. Now let us fix this. How do I share this 10% among these three such that there will be merging between them? Like this one here, there is some space here. Okay, not a problem. If you say that 10 divide okay, let's be quickly show you this. Sorry, if you say that 10 divided by 3, I think that should give you 3.33, something like that, because you would remember that if we say that 9 divided by 3, that is 3, but if you now say the remaining 1 divided by 3, I think that should be 0.3 something thereabout. So if you say 10 divided by 3, so equals to, so we have 3.3.3. that means if we can put, but look at it very well, if you put 3.3 space here and you put another 3.3 space here, that is just 6.6. What happens? So we can't really divide this by 3 because we can only divide it by 2. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So if you say 10 divide by 2, then we have 5. Okay, so if you put some space of 5 here and you put some space of 5 here, that is 10. Then plus 90, that is 100. I don't know, but although you must take note that even this border, the thickness of our border, take its own you need to account for that, otherwise it won't be perfect. And let's quickly do that just for you to see. And so I will start from the first product here, and you can see that my style is getting extremely long. So let me break it down to multiple lines so that you can get a chance to see it. Let me take the float left to its own line. Then I want to add another style, and of course you can use your padding or margin left. So this time around, okay, let's do it with padding. So I'm going to be using padding right. Then let's give it 5%, because the entire width is so if I say padding right, I am only saying I need some space in the right of this item, in the right hand side of this item, and that space is going to be 5%. Okay, so if you hit Ctrl S to save this job now and you refresh then you can see the space. Okay, now look at it. It's giving me the space, but the space is really here. I don't know if you get it. It's really inside this division, and that is not what I want, because I am giving this division that space. So the padding affects the content, something like that. So but if we change it to margin and hit Ctrl S to save your job, so if you refresh now, you see that it gives us. So you must understand the difference between padding and margin. So padding and margin have a difference that you must understand, and let me quickly explain to you, even though I may be explaining later. Now look at this mobile application development. The space between here to this place, you can call it the space between here to this place, you can call it your padding, and I will tell you why you call it padding left. Remember that this entire box here, this blue entire box, you can think of it as the parent, as the container, so to say, the container where mobile application is living. So when you give this mobile application padding, it will only move the contents. But if you give, like I'm talking about this entire container now, if you give this container margin, the container will move. But if you give it padding, the content inside the container moves. So it's just like that, and I'm going to really show it to you over here. If I give this box, if I give it padding, it's only the container, the content that moves. But if you give it margin, the entire container moves away. So here is a short way to differentiate between padding and margin. Padding affects what is inside the container, but margin affects the container itself. Okay, now look at it. Let me prove it to you. Let's go back to padding and hit Ctrl S to save your work. Now if you refresh your document, you will discover that this margin we have here is affecting the contents of the container. But if you change it to Ctrl Y to redo, if you change it to margin and you save your document and you refresh, then you will see that the container itself is what was affected. There will be more lectures on padding and margin later, so let us leave them away for now. So I will do the same thing for this one to give it. So going to the second div, and this is it. So let's break it to multiple lines so that you can get a chance to really see it. So margin left is going to be what, 5%, and you hit Ctrl S to save your job. So if you refresh over here, very good. Now you see that this one doesn't have any choice than to come to the next line. That is to tell you that it is no longer 100%. So this is 30 plus another 30, 60, 60 plus another 30 here, 90, 90 plus 5 here, 95, 90 plus another 5 here, 100. But what about the border, the thickness of the border? You need to account for it, and that's the reason why it's not equals to 100. And because it's not equal to 100, it doesn't have choice than to go down. So I'm going to change the what is this called, to 4. So I'm changing Ctrl S to save your work, and if you refresh over here now, okay, so let's see, this is 4% for the margin right, and okay, I made a mistake here, so it's supposed to be margin right. It's Ctrl S to save your work and refresh. Okay, because I make use of 4, so that means the remaining 2 is accounted for by the thickness of this border. Assuming we did not use the border, I think you will just get something good. So if this is what you want, fine, but let me share this with you. If you look at this one, there is margin here, there is margin here, there is at the top, and there is at the bottom. Okay, so remember, we've been using margin left, margin right, but when you use margin, it affects top, bottom, left and right. That is if you use only margin. And let me show it to you. You would remember that we have how many products altogether? We have 3 products. So, and they are all inside their own division, which is this div. So if you scroll down, you see the end of that div, another product begin, you see the end, another product begin, you see the end. So what we are going to do now is we will go to the parent of all the products, and in this case it's not the okay, so we'll go to the parents of all of the products, and we apply, so style, so we apply merging, and this merging now, I don't know, maybe you want to make it 5%, but what it means at this point is you want merging on the top, bottom, left and right, and mind you, you are setting it on the parent, and something you set on the parent will now affect all the children. So if you, let's go back to our own document and you refresh. Okay, so you will observe now that we have some space here, we have some space here, and we also have here, but unfortunately when we have here, it does no longer fit in, you understand? So you, because we've reduced with minus 5%, so you have to then find a way to account for that 5%, because what you are saying here is you want some 5% margin at the top, 5% here, 5% here again. So that means you need to account for an extra percentage of 10 because of this one. We put a 5 at the left and another 5 at the right. So you must find a way to account for it. So it depends on you, but you know all of them are 30% wide, and let's reduce the so we have margin left here. Let's reduce the margin and see. So let's make this to be just 2%. Scroll up to the margin of this one too, and make it to, and hit Ctrl S and refresh. Okay, so somehow you find your way around it, but I hope you understand what this lecture is all about. And a quick recap on it again: we take our time to design this, which we call the products. Okay, we create a division for products, which is going to hold all the products. I hope you understand. And let me quickly share this with you again, give it a background color for you to see that all of them are inside one division. So all the products, if you hit Ctrl S and you refresh now, you will see that all the products are inside one division. And okay, the background color is not, so let's hit on Ctrl S. So this is the division for the first products, and inside the first products we have image and we also have a table. That is what we copied and pasted for each and every other product. But the most important thing you need to get there is each and every division where you have the product is only 30% long, making 90 all together. Then we account for 2% margin on both first and the second. Okay, then we set margin equals to 5% on the parent of all of the product, and we get something like this. So thank you so much for joining me on this lecture, and here I will come to the end of this lecture on creating the products div. So that means the next one I'm going to be creating is just this footer. But if you do not get it, there is no cause for alarm. There is always a way you can reach out to me and we will come over on it again. So thank you so much for this lecture. Now welcome once again to the final part of this lecture on this single page. Mind you, this is not going to be the final on HTML. There are still some tags we need to cover, like the form tag, like the linking tag, how we can link it up so that we can go to different parts of our pages. But for today I'm going to be showing you how you create something like this, which of course is our footer in this case, because basically most websites will have the header that will be repeated on almost all the pages. They will have the content area like this. Most websites will now have the footer area. So there are always good ways to even come up with something far better than this, but the idea here is to teach you HTML. But I want to teach you HTML in such a way that we can at least have something that we are building, and this is what we are building. So let's quickly do this part of the footer, which of course is very simple. It should not take much of our time. So let's move straight back to our code editor, and if you look at it very well, this is the end. Let's click on this div. If you scroll up, you will discover that this is the end of the entire content. So I am now moving on to the footer, which of course is outside the content, but of course it's still inside the body. So I'm creating a division, okay, and here inside that division, let me call it, what name did I, okay, let's just give it a simple comment of maybe contact information. Then over here we can put a picture here that represents our logo, and let me show you. If you look at this one, there is picture here that represents our logo, and if you look at it, the logo is inside images, then inside images logo.png. so all you need to do is just to type images / logo.png, and then you hit Ctrl S to save your job. And if you head straight back to our document and refresh, then you scroll down, now you are seeing the picture is coming. It's very big, but we are missing out something. We are missing the black background color. So let's change our divisions to black background color, or you can even do it on the entire footer. It all depends on you anyway. So let's do it on the footer. You can style just about anything, remember. So I'm creating a style background color. I will just put black. I will just put black and hit Ctrl S to save. Then you can refresh. It's quite unfortunate that everything here changes to black, as if the footer is the entire No, so I don't think it will be wise to put it on the footer. But I have a question for you. Kindly find out, why does the footer affect even the content area? I may want you to find out that for me, please. So let's put it on this division, and okay, and hit Ctrl S to save your work. So if you refresh your document now, okay, you will observe that even when I put the background color black on the div, I still have the same problem. Okay, I still have the same problem. Now let me show you something very important. I will make this to be a comment for now, that is, it's not part of the code. Okay, then I will just add sync like a letter, hit Ctrl S to save my job and refresh. Okay, now you see why I removed the picture. The picture is so big that you wouldn't understand, it wouldn't give you the chance to see that the division that we are adding, which of course is the footer, is not coming under these three products, rather is coming somewhere here. And if it is coming all the way from this top, that is not good for us. So the question now is, how do you send it down? That was the reason why the footer, the question I asked the other time, that was the answer. So in the first place, let's ask ourselves this question: why is it coming here and not at the bottom? The answer is because when we are placing this product next to one another horizontally, we made use of float left. We put float left here and here, and the float left of this one is also affecting the item that is coming next, until we find a way to say that float left, can you please stop, I don't need you again. That is the only time that this will come in its right position. And let's go back to our code and try to find a way around that. Look at our third product here. This is the third product, and if you scroll to the left, let's make collapse this so that you can see. Did you see float left here? And that float left, it is some way somehow affecting her footer. So until you find a way to say, oh please float left, can you please stop, I don't need you again, that is the only time maybe you can be safe from this. And let's use another property that is called clear, and the value I'm going to click to clear is both. It is meaning that I am finding a way to clear myself away from the mess of the float, because I do no longer need the float left again. So hit Ctrl S to save your job, and let's refresh. Okay, now if you observe, this is coming exactly where it's supposed to be coming. That's very good. So please do not forget that the float left can really, the clear both can save you away from the float left. And of course you can add some merging here, but this time around I'm going to be adding merging top, and maybe you can just give it 3%. So that's merging top, and this merging top, hit Ctrl S to save your job. I am giving it onto this division, and if you refresh now, okay, you will discover that it does not really show as if you added anything. It's okay. So let's make it like 10 or 100, and hit Ctrl S to see. We need to exaggerate to see if it's really do as we want. Now you can see that the merging top, can you see 100? 100 is very big, so at least you can get a chance to see now that it works as expected. So let's reduce it to 10% and refresh. Okay, so what about 20? Control. So at times when you are dealing with this, you need to creatively work around some issues, not because you know the exact number that works, but just because you want to get what works for your design. Now you can see that at 30% I have little space over there. Control S to see. Okay, and at 40 is not just what you want, so why not make it 34 or 35 thereabout. Okay, maybe this is okay, so let me stick with this, or if you want you can reduce it again. So now let's uncomment back our picture. and hit Ctrl S to save your job. So refresh, then you can see the picture coming out. If this is what you want, good for you, it's cool, but you need to tell your graphics designer to change this color to white in your logo, because it will go fine on the black environment. Okay, if this is what you want, no problem, but you can always reduce the size if you want. And for here, we just reduce the size, and the size here, oh sorry, we use the width to reduce the size, and we can just give it, let's say 200 pixel, and hit Ctrl S to save your work. So refresh. Okay, I think that is not bad. So now going over to what even the one we have here is even smaller than that. I created both, but the idea is just to teach you. So we have some on order list going on here, and we have another one going on there. So of course, this is to the right of this. You can still find a way to make use of your float left, because if you look at it very well, this one is to the right of this one, so you can still somehow make use of your float left over there. And let's quickly do this because we do not have much time. Now here I have my division here. Okay, so let's create our UL, and remember LI, so you can put email and type your email. There you can put your phone number or whatever you would prefer. Something like that. Just put some random number. Okay, so please, I want you to observe something, that I want to put all of this Ctrl X in its own separate division. Then I want to create some links here, which of course is another UL. Then this first one is register, so LI. Later on I will be showing you what an anchor tag is, but for now let's just leave it. So we'll type register here. And what is the other thing? We are linking back to home. So the anchor tag I'll be showing you, that is what we use for linking. Then now let us hit on Ctrl S to save our work. Then if you head straight back to your document and refresh, okay, first everything is on the same line and they are not coming out fine. So let us change the color. So over here you can add another property, call it color, and give it white. Do not forget you need to put semicolon, otherwise it won't work as expected. So let's refresh here. Okay, you can see the white does not affect this one. That's because anchor tag, which is a, have its own color by default, which of course is always blue, so something like that. So but you can always style it if you want, give it its own color, something like this. Ctrl S, that's for the anchor tag, and if you refresh right now you would see that the color would change. Maybe I did not save, so let's check again. Of course I did save, but it was not coming out in white color. So, and that's for the register. Okay, it's okay, but of course it will come out, but I wouldn't want that to waste too much of our time. What about if you put it on your LI, Ctrl S to save your job, and you want to refresh? Okay, so more on that later. We will have to come back to why it does not come out in, but for now let's quickly write down on her journey. This one should come to the right of this. Okay, although I prefer the purple color because it's somehow match with this, but still we'll find a way to change it to the white color. So now I want this division to be at the left of this one. So what do? You already know by now that we use float left, with what you learned in the last lecture. Then style, you use float left. So you want to hit Ctrl S to save the job. Then the first thing you will observe is the color disappear. Then you'll be wondering, but of course you get what you are looking for, only that the color disappears. And that color disappears just because I will provide you a better explanation on why the color disappears later on. But right now all I can say to you is this float left inside this inside the parents here. You see, the float left inside the parent makes the color of the parent to disappear. So I will explain far better to you maybe in our next lecture, but for now you can quickly overcome that when you use another property called override and you pass a value of hidden inside of it and you hit Ctrl S to save your work. So override hidden on the parent makes the color to comes back. That's if indeed you really need the color. And you can shift all of this. I don't know, it depends on you. Let's say you want to shift all this more to the front, you can just use on your division here, you can just use merging right, and you can just put some numbers here. 30%, you are shifting it to the right by 30%, and you can refresh so it goes to the right. Then you can give this one some space if you want, but I will rather leave it this way. So now let's see, why does the anchor tag, why does it not come out in the color that we want? That is somehow, anyway it should. So because what you can do is you can style any color, and styling a color, this is exactly the way we did it the other time, and when you refresh, okay, it now comes out in white color. And to be sincere with you, I don't know why it initially does not come out in white color. All I know, it's supposed, but let's leave it back at the purple color because it's somehow fits into your design right now. And that is the end of our lecture. So we have something like this, not exactly 100% with the first one I created, but the idea is you now understand some structuring with your HTML, and that marks our home page. So if we are going to be designing something else now, it will be sign up, how do you fill in the form in HTML, which of course is not also difficult, but I might be doing some code refactoring for you such that our designs will be separated from our contents. Maybe that is going to be our next lecture before we even design any other thing. So thank you so much for joining me on this lecture, and let me do a quick recap for you before I finally call it a day. This is the only thing we did, and this is the footer. Okay, so we created another div for everything that is going to be inside the footer. Then we gave it a color of white and a background color of black, and we do not forget the clear boots, just because it helps us to save us from the mess of the float left that was done in above. Okay, then this is the first division, and this another division. Initially I did not create a division, I have IMG and UL. Then you would be wondering, why did I now create this division? Because I want all of this to be at the right hand side, and I want all of this to be at the left hand side. That will be more easier for me to do if I can house them together in a single div, place it to the left, and this one to place it to the left. Imagine, you can observe that I am not using width property even though I'm using float left, because what I am typing is not that long, the image is not covering everything. So that's just what we are able to do on the footer. So thank you once again for joining me on this lecture. We move on to something different. Thank you.